Hi everyone, it's me, Carrie, and my name starts with car, but that doesn't mean my morning routine should also have to. I ate with that one, didn't I? But moving on from that, to clarify, I want to talk about bikes versus cars in this video. I'm mainly focusing on what I don't like about how car-centric America is.
I know there's that YouTube channel, Not Just Bikes, which pretty much covers every aspect of this issue in more detail than I could, so go check it out. But I still want to give my personal take. And as a disclaimer, I have no expertise in urban planning or human safety whatsoever, so take what I say as random ponderings of this modern world we live in, that you can agree or disagree with. So here are my thoughts. When I think about all the reasons why life outside school or work in the US is so shit, I feel like a good 50% of them stem from the fact that we're so reliant on cars. Now you might say, reliant on cars? Cars are the best way to get around. When I got my license, I felt so free to drive anywhere. I'd hate to walk 3 miles to work. And you're right, nobody should have to walk 3 miles to do anything. My main issue is the way cities are structured forces us to use cars for everything, including tasks that shouldn't need it. If you grew up in American suburbia like I did, the only thing around you was more middle-class residential homes. The nearest grocery store was about a mile away, and the nearest park or shopping center, where people might actually want to casually hang out, could be multiple miles away. This means that if you were a kid who didn't want to spend all day indoors, you'd have to either walk half an hour to get anywhere, or ask your parents to chauffeur you to where you want to go, which robs you of your agency because now every outing with friends needs to be greenlit by a parent before you can even do it. But even as an adult with a car, I believe my car should be used for fun outings, not a requirement to get errands done. I'd love to drive my car for a 2-hour road trip through a nearby national park, not be forced to commute through an hour of traffic every day. But how am I confident a better alternative is even possible? Well, the way I see it, many American adults have lived through what life without car reliance could look like. College campus life. So consider the errand of getting detergent for your laundry. In college, I lived in a dormitory that was maybe a few football fields length. From Tresidder Union, an outdoor shopping mall that had restaurants, a bank, a post office, a haircut salon, a bike shop, an administrator's office, a coffee shop, a clothing store, and most importantly, a convenience store that sold detergent. So if I was just chilling in my dorm and I had the sudden realization, oh shit, I have no clean clothes to wear and no detergent, I could literally walk 5 minutes to Tresidder, grab the detergent, walk back, and start my laundry before my iced drink would melt. I could even bike there in 150 seconds. I timed it. Contrast that with how it is in typical American cities. You have to get in the car, drive to the nearest store maybe 2 miles away, struggle to find parking if it's a busy day, park, sometimes you even have to pay for parking, get out of the car, buy the detergent, and then do it all in reverse. You might think delivery apps like Postmates could make this better, but that just means somebody else has to deal with the parking issue. And that's more expensive, increases car usage, is bad for the environment, so on and so on. So, I firmly believe that this car-related hassle is a big reason why it feels like so much happens every year of your college life. You meet so many new friends, have so many life-defining experiences, take on so many new hobbies, and grow so much personality-wise. Growing from an 18-year-old high schooler to a 22-year-old college graduate is massive, but then every year of your 30s feels pretty much identical and all blurs together. That's a big claim, so hear me out. Say a friend invites you to a Halloween party an hour's drive away, and you're trying to decide if you want to go. In your brain, you're weighing how much you want to attend that party against how much time and mental effort it's gonna take. If my close friend I haven't seen in years is gonna be there, the joy of seeing them outweighs the 2 hours of driving it costs. But if it's just random acquaintances I barely know, the joy isn't great enough to overcome the driving cost, so I won't go. On the other hand, what if the party was just a 5-minute walk away? Why not go, no matter who's there? You were bored on a random Friday, and it takes no effort to dip in and dip out, so what's there to lose? Maybe you think, duh, that's obvious. But my point here is this: if you take the gamble on the acquaintance-only Halloween party, which you'd only do if it was walking distance away, that could actually be the way you discover new people and make new friendships. Or maybe you don't click, that's entirely possible too. But if there's a 20% chance you do click, and you go to a new gathering a week because they're also nearby, statistically you'll eventually find something good. In my opinion, the thrill of life comes from these spontaneous moments, like, say you're on the way back from class and you peer into this weird-sounding club meeting you've never heard of before, like underwater basket weaving. But then you decide to check it out for a bit and find the vibe is super fascinating. You start going more often, and after you get an unexpected second place finish in the thrilling underwater basket weaving competition, the first place winner spontaneously says to you, By the way, I'm creating a new K-pop dance group, but we need one more member, and you're clearly agile, want to join? So you do. You get more and more familiar with them over the next few months, and suddenly you found your closest friends that you invite to your wedding. That's unplanned, yet pivotal to your life path. And having lived on a college campus for 4 years, stuff like that is not out of the ordinary. I joined a fake fraternity pledged to the study of gastronomy, performed in 2 K-pop dance groups, and met some of my closest friends to this day that way. And would I have ever sought that out on my own? Hell no! But in contrast, in car-centric America, if you just drive from home to work and work to home, unplanned moments like those will almost never happen. When you're driving down a concrete highway at 60 miles per hour, and you see a gym hosting a yoga class on the other side of that vast parking lot, are you gonna stop and join them, picking up new friends and a new hobby? No, you're not. In car-centric America, every action has to be planned and intentional, since drives are more of a deliberate undertaking than walks. You have work on your schedule, justifying your drive to your office. You have dinner on your schedule, justifying your drive to a restaurant, and you have exercise on your schedule, justifying your drive to the gym. If you have your full life plan in order, that's great, but I believe most adults are still somewhat lost, searching for more and open to trying new things. But that's only easy to do if you don't have to pay the hours of driving time and dollars in parking after an already exhausting workday just to be present at day 1 of the hobby. It almost feels like cars' tinted windows are meant to isolate us from each other. Pedestrians walking around can recognize each other's faces, stop and say hi, briefly mention what they're up to, and even float the idea of inviting others to join along. But how often has that ever happened to 2 drivers in cars? You have like 0.2 seconds to react, and you can't even really see people's faces while driving. There's more I could go into about cars' impact on friendship, but I haven't even got to the point of safety. We all know that car crashes often rank in the top 2 or 3 causes of death in young adults, which is tragic. When I find myself driving long distances, I often get this realization. Just casually visiting a friend, and then holy shit, I'm on a highway. The trajectory of this 1-ton metal brick is completely at the whim of my hand motions. In just half a second, were I to twitch my arms a tad too far to the left, I could careen into a wall and kill dozens. Of course, I don't actually do that, but I can't be the only person who has these intrusive thoughts. In neighborhoods built without sidewalks or crosswalks, I find myself standing mere inches away from a potentially life-threatening injury, and I can only imagine it's built this way because cars are so necessary to live. Having unprotected civilians stand mere inches away from a shooting range would be ludicrous, but 90% of adults don't need to use a weapon like that to get to work every day. What's the solution to all this? Well, I don't know because I'm not an expert and I hate being preachy, but I would love to see better public transit everywhere because people riding trains take up way less space than cars. I live in Los Angeles, and my dad told me that his dad, my grandfather, used to ride a tram to work in LA in the 1930s, but over the next couple decades they tore them all down. Why can't we have those back? Also, let's have better non-car infrastructure like sidewalks, parks, and bike lanes. On top of that, I find it kind of baffling that the average commute time in the US is about half an hour. There's gotta be some way to improve that by getting people to live closer to work, right? I wonder if it has something to do with zoning laws and residential areas being far away from commercial ones. I actually don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but it feels that way, thinking of how my childhood suburban home was multiple miles away from the closest bustling commercial area. And higher commute times lead to more traffic, noise pollution, air pollution, depression, and so on. So I feel like almost every person would be better off if the average commute time were lowered somehow. So it's apparent that vehicles in the US are getting larger and larger, with purchases of light trucks outnumbering cars in recent years. Next time you're on the highway, take a look around and you'll see light trucks everywhere. I can see the appeal. If you're an everyday American, maybe your family plans on owning 1 or 2 vehicles. If you commute to work by yourself every day, your vehicle needs to hold 1 person. If you anticipate going on a road trip with a family of 6 twice a year, now your vehicle needs to hold 6 people. Why not buy the car that can handle both situations, meaning the larger one? Well, I can't help but feel that the larger vehicle takes up so much extra space during the 95% of the year when it isn't being used to transport 6 people. When all these cars sit in personal garages, parking lots, and even on the highway stuck in traffic, a lot of these cars' physical metal frames are just hogging space for relatively little human mass being transported. On the topic of parking spaces, each space has to be made incrementally larger as the average car size gets larger. There's other issues too, like larger cars generally having worse fuel efficiency, and SUVs having huge blind spots because they're so high off the ground, making it so that 17 kids can be virtually invisible to the driver, which makes it not as surprising that pedestrians are much more likely to be killed in an SUV crash than a non-SUV one. But I don't think those points will be very convincing because most people think of themselves as more safe than the average driver, so it's like not their problem in their eyes, I guess. Why not just own a smaller car for the 95% of the year that you're driving just yourself to work? And then rent a larger van for the 2 weeks of the year you have family road trips. That way, the van itself can be used dozens of times throughout the year by different clients, so its bigger frame can accomplish the most utility instead of just taking up space in a garage all day. And if you think about the extreme case of this, a U-Haul is used to transport all your belongings when you move house. Wouldn't it be ridiculous to own a U-Haul that's sitting in your garage all the time just to use it 2 times a decade when you move house? I feel like as a culture, we've gotten to this stage where owning a big car is an ego boost because it communicates how much transportation power you're capable of doing, not how much you need, but how much you're capable of. And I guess some people are like, yeah, I'm so macho because my monster truck could lug an oak tree down the highway. But also, as a culture, hoarding is generally frowned upon. We all know that family member or neighbor who can't convince themselves to throw away any Tupperware on the off chance they'll find the perfect dish to use that Tupperware 5 years from now. There are even TV shows like Hoarders and Tidying Up with Marie Kondo that are entirely centered around helping people who can't get over this hoarder mindset. Would it be a stretch to say there's a similarity between needlessly big cars and hoarding? In both cases, you own some product that you don't need 99% of the time, but could theoretically use maybe once a year if very particular circumstances line up just right. But during all the other times of the year, the product is doing nothing but take up valuable space, whether that's a pile in your living room or a giant parking garage where a park could be instead.
So can we pick up the awareness and social stigma that we've already developed that hoarding can be damaging and transfer that to awareness and social stigma that huge cars and trucks everywhere can also be damaging? It's like that Patrick pushing bikini bottom meme.
Time to wrap this video up. As I was writing more paragraphs, I got this feeling that I was venturing into more and more intricate subjects that I'm not an expert in, and nobody asked me to be an expert in.
So I'll hold back for now, but I still stand by everything I said in this video. We need fewer cars and more walkable cities and public transit. See you in the next video!